The Intex Challenger K1 is one of the cheapest inflatable kayaks. It even comes in a complete set, so that nothing stands in the way of an immediate paddling tour. We now wanted to know for ourselves, how is it to paddle the Intex one-person kayak, and can it compete with a good quality inflatable kayak? The Intex Challenger K1 comes in a compact and very light carrying bag. Since the boat weighs only 28.4 pounds, it can be carried comfortably over short distances with the included carrying bag. But the carrying bag is not robust. The inflatable kayak is quickly unpacked and amazingly handy. To inflate the kayak you need to unfold it. The Intex Challenger K1 has two separate air chambers, a bottom chamber and a side chamber, each inflated by a Boston valve. Boston valves are two-way screw valves that allow quick and safe air inflation and deflation. Due to the separate air chambers, it is still possible to reach the shore safely, even if one chamber fails. If you are not sure when the correct air pressure is reached, you can measure it. Intex has printed a measuring scale on each chamber for this purpose. With the enclosed measuring strip, it can be checked whether there is enough air in the air chambers or whether one of them still needs to be pumped up. The Intex Challenger K2 is delivered in a light and thin transport bag. The bag doesn't make a rough impression, but for short transports or storing the kayak at home, the transport bag should be sufficient. The Challenger K2 is not a very lightweight inflatable. Everyone who wants to transport the kayak some 100 meters by foot should buy a transport backpack. And the transport bag fits the complete folded boat and all the accessory. So, it comes with two seats, one double blade paddle and a pump. If you want to paddle it with someone else together, you need to buy another paddle. The inflated kayak consists of one ground and two side air chambers that are inflated via Boston valves with the included high-output air pump. The air pump is quite small. So, this means it takes a bit to inflate it completely. You could also get a bigger air pump, and the inflation would go much faster. However, a bigger air pump needs more space, which should be considered as well. The floor of the boat is covered with some Velcro straps for attaching the seats. The straps for the back seat is longer, so that you can adjust the position of it. If you want to have more legroom, you should put the seat more in the back, and if you want to have more space for luggage, then you should place the seat more in the front. Due to the Velcro straps, the seats remain where you have put them when paddling. In addition to the Intex Explorer K2 is the best-selling inflatable kayaks. On the internet, a lot of customers share positive experience with this inflatable Intex kayak. Most of the customers can only make a limited evaluation since they have never paddled any other inflatable kayaks than the Intex Explorer K2. We have examined the Explorer K2 carefully and have paddled it on a bathing lake. We have already paddled many inflatable kayaks and are able to give you a solid recommendation for who the Intex Explorer K2 is best suited for. The Intex Explorer K2 comes in a thin transport bag which doesn't make a robust impression. Nevertheless, the bag should be sufficient for a short transportation and is good for storing the kayak at home. The bag contains the boat and the complete accessory. It's quite surprising that so much accessory is already included for such a low price. Paddling is immediately possible without buying anything extra. Inflating the kayak was simple and quick, less than 10 minutes. Intex has printed a measuring scale on the chambers. With this scale you can see with the included measuring strip or ruler if the right air pressure is on each chamber. This is very useful and important at the same time. A too high air pressure would damage the chambers for sure, and a too low air pressure would reduce the driving performance of the boat. As well as the Boston valves have been working great. Stern and bow are equipped with small spray decks that can be inflated as well. The side chambers are pretty high compared to other Intex kayaks. Moreover, the Intex Explorer is not suited for whitewater at all. The question remains for what the spray decks are. We assume that these spray decks shall give a better look to the boat. The carry handles on the bow and stern are really practical for lifting the boat. The Intex Excursion Pro is the manufacturer's latest inflatable kayak on the market. At first glance it looks very similar to the Intex Explorer K2. The differences are not only in the design, but especially in the material and equipment as well as in the accessories. With the Excursion Pro, Intex has a much higher quality inflatable kayak in its range than the Intex Explorer Challenger. In this review we would like to show you whether the extra cost is worth it and the strengths and weaknesses of the kayak. The Intex Excursion Pro comes with a very large carrying case. Compared to the bags of other Intex boats, it is coated and much more stable. With this bag we do not have the feeling that it will tear or get a hole after a few uses. The dimensions of the bag are very large. But that makes sense. Because usually you never get the boat folded up as compactly as it was when delivered. This also gives you the possibility to get the boat into the bag a bit untidily folded, in case you are in a hurry. First the bottom and then the side chambers are inflated. The bottom and the side chambers are separate from each other, i.e. each air chamber also has its own valve. This multi-chamber system is common on inflatable boats in order not to sink in case of a hole on the water. As soon as the air chamber reaches its final shape, check the air pressure with the supplied manual. The chambers can be inflated up to 0.08 bar. This is not much for an inflatable kayak, but a little more than for the Intex Challenger K2 and Explorer K2. If you have been on the water with the boat for a longer time, you should check the air pressure during a break on the shore. If the air and water temperature are significantly different, the air pressure in the chambers will drop, and they will become slightly softer. But this is quite normal for an inflatable boat, and here it helps to pump up. The double-bladed paddles, with a length of 218 centimeters, are well designed for the kayak and for the average paddling beginner, but too wobbly for longer tours. Unlike other portable double-bladed paddles, it's made not only of 2 or 4 pieces, but even 5 pieces. This increases the compactness of the paddle, but at the same time reduces the stability. For intensive use, the plug system of the paddle shaft seems to wear out quickly, which would make the paddles even wobblier in the long run. For a clunky-looking kayak, we found that the Seveler actually performs decently well on the water. At just 10 feet long, the Quick Pack has a couple of skegs on the bottom to aid in tracking, so you're not swinging back and forth with every stroke. The Quick Pack is relatively stable, as a pretty thick boat that rides relatively high out of the water. A piece of the backpack zips in over the paddler's legs. Seveler refers to it as a spray skirt to help keep out water, whether from paddling or even from minor waves. This ups the versatility of this little craft a bit, and we feel confident in it handling minor rivers with relative ease, being both maneuverable and a bit more protected from taking on water. The bottom section of the fabric exterior layer is also reinforced to help protect the underside of the hull from being punctured while you're out playing in the shallows. Perhaps not our first choice for an intensely long paddle, the Seveler is decently comfortable for spending a solid day out enjoying the peacefulness of a quiet lake. It has a fully adjustable seat that's not inflatable, though it is a clever folding of the backpack portion of the carry bag and gives plenty of space to stretch your legs out for a tan or wedge your knees into the sides for more intense paddling. This position is aided by the zip and spray skirt, though we must say that it's so much easier to get in and out of the boat with said skirt zipped open. Otherwise, that opening is incredibly narrow. We appreciate that narrow entry once we are in the boat, as it helps keep water from pulling as easily and provides a convenient platform for a nautical dog to join us on our adventures. With the included dual-action pump, pumps air on both the upstroke and the downstroke, filling up the 3 chambers of the Quick Pack doesn't take long at all. The included directions are straightforward and easy to understand, and also include descriptions of how to take the outer fabric off the inflated inner frame for cleaning or repairs.